Welcome back to the Shit Creek Survivors Show, where we openly talk about those moments in life that truly got us stuck, but more importantly, the concrete steps and tools we use to pull ourselves out and get ourselves moving in the right direction again. Today, we're joined by David Windsor, a PGA professional and the head of the Georgia State Golf Association Adaptive Golf Program. David works with individuals facing sensory and physical issues, helping them utilize golf for recovery and therapy. During the episode, David will share how to find adaptive golf programs in Georgia and even in your local area. We'll also hear from Dennis and myself about how we use golf in our personal recovery process. So without further ado, here we go. Welcome, David. David is joining us. He is a PGA professional here down in Georgia. He works for the PGA and the Georgia State Golf Association, and he is in charge of the adaptive golf program. And we thought it'd be so cool to have him on. Thank you so much for joining us, David. So great to have you.
Hey,
having you here, David, is a great blessing.
Yeah, no, it's great to get to know you a little bit, Dennis, and excited to be here to talk about the outreach and how the world of adaptive golf can impact others.
Perfect.
I'm excited to hear more about it myself.
Me too. And really quickly, all right, just to give you some context, when I was getting back on my feet, I kind of needed something to latch onto, and somehow golf became that. And it seemed really odd because golf can be considered a really frustrating sport. But what I found out is golf is also an independent sport, and you can play it as an individual. Even if you're shooting a 200, you can work on shooting a 199 the next time and actually just focus on you. And I started getting better. And for a long time, my big accomplishment was really just getting out of the house. But anyways, that's how golf showed up in my life, and I'll get into it a little bit more. When I came down to Georgia, I was introduced to David. David, again, works for the PGA, and he works for the Adaptive Golf League. And he kind of explained to me what he did, and it was just so intriguing. I'm now trained to go out and volunteer at some of these events that are going to be coming up this year. I'm super excited about it. So, David, if you would kind of introduce yourself and just how did you get into golf, maybe just from the get-go? What attracted you to the game?
All right. Hey, no, thank you for that kickoff there. And to clarify, yes, you have it correct. I do work for with the PGA of America. I'm a PGA Class A member, a teaching professional, and in which my role is to roll out my local programs for veterans. And that program is the PGA Hope, the nationally acclaimed PGA Hope, which stands for Helping Our Patriots Everywhere, which we'll hear a little bit of those experiences with Dennis, who's currently enrolled.
I am
in a session over there in outside of St. Louis. And then my full-time role is I'm honored to be the adaptive golf director with the Georgia State Golf Association, known as the GSGA. And if anyone just Googles, adaptive golf Georgia, they're going to come up with Georgia State Golf Association. And that rolls out 11 statewide community programs, right, positioned geographically, with more growing each and every year. And again, those are complementary for anyone with physical, cognitive, sensory impairments and, family, spouses that want to come in and find the right equipment, the tools, the techniques, and the strategies in order to have access to learn and play and enjoy the game, right? That's what it is. At the end of the day, you want to be able to enjoy these things and reap the benefits that you sort of acquire along the way. And so how did it get to this point, right? 26 years now into it.
Wow.
And I usually say
good for you.
I was minding my own business, right? I was just minding my own business. And I had
That's how every good story starts. Yeah.
So what happened was.
Yeah. No, I was just acquired a position in Sarasota, Florida, at a golf course, 27-hole facility. And I was so excited just to get a grasp on managing the events, the teaching programs, doing things with juniors and different camps over the summer. And I had a physical therapist come in one day, introduced himself, and he said he'd been, trained through the Adaptive Golf Association up in Georgia of all places, and that he was rolling out a program to serve his clients. So he had, and again, this is 1999, he had World War II veterans coming through physical therapy through his facility. And there were recent stroke survivors. There was a brain injury, due to accidents, and there was limb loss. So there was from diabetes or other accidents and instances, amputees coming out. So he had a pretty good spectrum of folks coming out, 6 to 10 individuals. And he wanted to get access to the range and just find a little place that provided some serenity in the afternoons for them to get their mojo back, right? Golf therapy without ever having to say therapy. And so I was like, sure, let's entertain it. It's like, yeah, come, why don't you have the group out? And you've heard me say this before, right, in our training, that all of a sudden people are pulling up to the bag drop. I'm peering out the window of the golf shop, and I'm seeing someone come out that needs some more assistance, getting out of the car, maybe transferring into a power chair of sorts, or someone coming in with a cane. And you could see that they were impaired, right? I didn't know what the word was for hemophilia, for a stroke survivor to be impaired on one side. But all I could imagine was, okay, I've done some Golf Digest schools. I've learned from others, and I've only taught the game with 2 hands on the club. So I'm thinking, how am I going to, help somebody with just one arm and be a swing a golf club without, falling down if he's having a balance, issue. But it was that physical therapist, after we got everybody shifted up to the range, we spaced everybody out, with space and, appropriate distance. And just that physical therapist recognized that I didn't know maybe how to interact or what to ask and things like of that nature, because it was all new math.
Yeah.
He just said, hey, look, he goes, just let them show you what they can do. So if someone was in a seated wheelchair, a power chair, if they could only swing with one hand, many of our older gents that were World War II veterans, they might have had aphasia where they weren't able to communicate so well, but just the look in their eye and where they tapped that club. And man, they said, I want that ball right there. And you just kind of feed off of their vibes, and wow, the things that can happen from that. And they would just come out every week. It was something they looked forward to. It was just beyond therapy for them. It was just them re-identifying and, getting, finding all new dignity to be out there. And they would look, and some would say, look at that, honey, their spouse or their kids. And it was something that, they were just proud to bring others to and recommend. We would practice, actually go out to play, and we'd have the accessible carts. And for them to get out on a golf course again, I mean, that was, it was just, they say it themselves, and I'm not making this up. I mean, they would say, hey, some folks find their peace inside a church on a Sunday morning, and others, they find their inner peace out on the golf course with their family, their friends, and just being surrounded by nature. And it just became more than just a golf clinic. You could see the relationships form, and the new goals being derived, and folks were getting back, and through speech therapy and physical therapy, their mobility came back. And so as a weekly program back in 99, and then having 9/11 take place, and then seeing how the call for more therapies and how we can heal our men and women coming through the VA hospitals after they kind of dish them out from those 4 walls, what's next for them. And it just happened to be, we knew someone with a relationship at the Tampa Polytrauma Veterans Hospital. And from there, they embraced it in 2007. And that then became a weekly program to serve our patriots through spinal cord and, all the different, trauma departments, and just to get them out and give them a chance that there's more to life, here's the next chapter for you guys to write. So that was
awesome.
kind of a nutshell between 99 and 2007.
It's awesome you've been doing this long. That's awesome. And you got to probably really see the change of the culture there, from probably mostly veterans being Vietnam and World War II veterans to suddenly post 9/11 veterans. So did the groups get younger, get bigger, all that kind of stuff too? The problem probably didn't really change that much.
But you brought up a good point.
Amputees, mental illnesses, things like that.
Is having the first group being from World War II, like being from Vietnam, those folks there, they came and embraced were part of the clinic, and it didn't take long, and they felt empowered to then be on the welcoming committee for the 9/11, post 9/11 folks, the Gulf War veterans. right? And the other forgotten, conflicts, Panama and others that
Yeah.
you don't hear about every day. Folks were in, and they were there to welcome them home. And there's no better than to have another veteran that had such a strong passion for the game to be there, welcome home a fellow veteran, and just take him out. So you had
And the veteran community is very, very opening like that in all aspects. The VA too. Like I waited way too long to take advantage of the VA benefits that were available to me after I came back from Iraq. I waited almost 15 years, but I found the PGA Hope program through the VA's systems, and they had almost anything you could think of doing besides golf. I mean, fishing trips, sailing trips, learn how to sail. They would have a group that gets together, learn sailing techniques, practice in a pool, practice in the rivers, and then once a year they go on a trip someplace to South America, to the Bahamas, to some other place. They plan it together. They group of 8 people, 10 people, and they sail a boat for a few days out in exotic places and stuff. And this is all through the VA. The PGA Hope program was one of those. Of course, it caught my attention a little bit. Growing up, almost every summer, my summer activities that Dad did for me and my brother was swimming lessons, tennis lessons, and golf lessons. That's how we spent our days. We got dropped off in the morning at the swimming pool, and we had our swimming lessons. So we walked over to the tennis courts for tennis lessons. We walked to the golf course for lunch, and then after lunch, we had our golf lessons. And then we went home after that. That was our summer. And so I've always
Daycare.
liked the game of golf. I've never been that great at it because you only play it, a few times a year probably when you're working. But I've always thought that golf kind of parallels life in a lot of ways. You have to take your time for your tactics, your techniques. You watch other people's success, you watch other people's failures, you try to learn from them, both. Then you apply it to yourself. You have to overcome adversities, and it could be your swing, it could be the bunker, it could be whatever. When you get better at shots and you get better at approaches and you get better at putts, you feel that victory inside you, and it feels good. It's rewarding. So rewarding that it makes you want to keep coming back. And then you say silly little corny things that I always say on the golf course, like, I'd rather have a bad day playing golf than a good day at work. Or I only need 4 good shots, 1 good drive, 1 good long iron, 1 good approach iron, and 1 good putt. I have 18 holes to get those 4 shots in to make it a successful day of golf. But
and
the
it's very
PGA Hope program
measurable.
was really good too because more lessons and got better and better and met more veterans and make some connections. And now I'm starting a league this year through the PGA Hope program. So thank you for all that stuff that you put into it on behalf of all the veterans.
I mean, we do. There's certainly that emphasis, and after 9/11, of all the groups that came out to know how they could serve, this generation, and but now has the really the talk of PTSD and what that all entailed, and the service coping skills around it. That's usually been just related, and it's been a stereotype. Oh, it's our veterans. Oh, and all this. So I mean, just kind of going on beyond and the mix and the things that we do in the civilian community, and you learn of the trauma and all that can come around from any walk of life, and that's what
Mm-hmm.
really is truly embraced with us. And what we really try to convey in our coach training workshops is that hey, this is for everybody. The game of golf might not be for everyone, but it's certainly available to anyone who wants to get in for these certain reasons.
Right.
Knowing,
But if golf isn't for you and you are a veteran, go to the VA. There's other programs. You can learn how to fly fish. You can learn how to sail. You can learn how to bike. You can bowl. You can do everything. And there's other programs too. But if you like golf at all, check it out. Get into it. If you have a disability around in Georgia, look it up. Get into it. Let Dave help you.
Because honestly, initially for me, a big accomplishment was just getting out of the house. I was so stuck in the house and I kept going over kind of like the past, what the future's going to look like, all this kinds of stuff. I didn't realize how healing it is just to get outside and be in nature. And I would get home, and just because I was able to go out, I was able to partake in something. I felt better about myself, and it gave me more of a sense of independence, because when you get hurt, a lot of the times you're always depending on other people, whether it's for rides, whether it's for, all the way down to food, housing, whatever it is. Sometimes when you get out there, you're doing something independently, and it kind of gives you that sense of freedom. And it's something you can keep working on. I don't know about you guys, but I think about golf a lot to the point where I'm like, I'll see someone playing golf and I'll start practicing a swing. You know what I mean? It's probably the worst thing you could do because I'm practicing the worst swing in the world, probably. But, it's like I'm attached to it now for some reason. Same thing happens with fishing, I think, with a lot of people. It's not about catching the fish, it's about being out there and just kind of like, in a way, experiencing the moment. Because when you're at home, you just keep running over the past, you keep anticipating the future with fear most of the time. And what golf did to me is got me out of the house, it got me out of my head, and it got me into the present moment.
Well, it's the goal orientation kind of stuff that we talked about before. Like Jordan Peterson said, just move a rock or just make your sock drawer better when you're trying to clean your room. Take a
Yeah.
small step towards success. Golf is goal oriented. You're outside, you're getting vitamin D from the sun, you're getting fresh air. You're around nature. All those things are beneficial for you as well. But
Yeah.
you're goal oriented. You have something to get that to succeed in, and that is positively reinforcing your emotions, and you going into your day, and it's
Right.
giving you positive impacts.
And
if you're
Positivity
going,
breeds more positivity.
here's
yeah,
a
and if you're
question
going
for,
through stuff,
I'm sorry.
go ahead, David. I'm sorry. No,
I
you
was
go
going
ahead.
to say, here's a question for Coach Cameron, right? So not everyone knows that Cameron has now just become, as of this month here in March, the past 30 days, officially trained as an adaptive golf coach with the Georgia State Golf
Woo-hoo!
Association
Whoop,
adaptive
whoop.
program. He endured an 8-hour day, with us, kind of going through the ins and outs, the consummate of, and then some self-adaptation and whatnot. But my question is, as you said, you find yourself thinking about golf more and more. And I mean, it's certainly been the ultimate redirect of, for different mental health. But when you're out shopping with the wife, she's in the clothing department, you find a beam over there at Kohl's or something. There's a body mirror there. Are you setting up your posture? Are you going through the move? You check and make sure. Yeah. Are you doing that? I hope. All right. So then it's for real. All right, for real.
Posture and grip. That's the foundations, right? That's what you said that day. You're like posture and grip. Once you get that down, it doesn't
Well,
matter as long as you
really,
can repeat it.
it's the PGA: posture, grip, and
Yeah.
aim. Posture, grip,
All right.
Posture, grip, and aim. I love it.
and especially we're talking about golf, and it's officially Masters Month. It's April 1st. The Masters kicks off next week. Masters Monday, and you're wearing the shirt. There you go. I did a little green.
Yeah, I got my gear here.
There you
I'm
go.
ready. I'm actually going. I'll be there on Thursday.
Great.
So I'm excited. It's funny. You start getting like orders from people. They're like, "Oh, you're going? Will you buy me this and this and this?" I guess the shop's a big deal. I've never been before, and this
Sure
is
is.
kind of like a Super Bowl kind of experience sort of deal. So we're really excited to go
Are you working or are you going on your own time?
on our own time. So we're
Yeah.
actually going. I'm taking all kinds of instructions. You got to buy a stool right away. And you got to set up your stool in the right place. And someone always has to stay at the stool while the other person floats around, and food and drinks and all that kind of stuff. It's supposed to be easily accessible and reasonably priced. So, yeah. But I think it would just be so fun just to be out there. Because again, I just want to like take in the course. I'm learning that from golf that you can appreciate a lot just by the geography and but how they planned it out. And it just gets more interesting the more you get into golf because you start seeing everything that it took to put into putting a course together, from the design to the land management to the maintenance to from everything, the development of technology. I mean, I don't know about you, but the first club I had in my hand as a little kid, I didn't play a lot, but it was an old Woody. You know what I mean? Woody with the screws on the bottom.
Oh yeah, the
And
persimmon. Oh yeah.
we've come a long way. There was a lot of leaps and jumps in, I guess, the 90s and the 2000s to get us to where we're at today. But yeah, I mean,
Have you ever swung a wood shaft?
a wood shaft. I don't think I've ever done a wood
My
shaft.
grandpa had a fair with some wood shafts on them, I think, if I remember right. But then you had the woodies with the screws on the bottom. Cut it down short so the kids can swing it. We put some electrical tape on it for the grip, and yeah, me and my brother out hitting the little plastic balls in the backyard too. So yeah, I've been all around it.
Yeah,
Just
the
like that.
elect.
Totally different game.
Yeah,
We
the
did
elect.
a full round of hickory golf, even in Scotland, and in St Andrews, and
There
it's a
you go.
So when we'll talk about those types of things too, whether it be just a golf group, adaptive, or a veterans group. I've been a part of some going to St. Andrews for a week, my fourth trip to
Would
Ireland.
love to do that.
And so, yeah, we definitely talk about, and there'll be more opportunities for more. We're trying to get an entity that will help orchestrate, and organize these trips, because it is the ultimate retreat of divot therapy when you get over.
Divot therapy.
Yeah, divot
Absolutely,
therapy.
absolutely.
I always call it wind therapy, whether I'm on the course or on a motorcycle or on a boat. It's wind therapy. I'm just outside getting some nature, getting
Yeah.
some sun.
But you
And
mentioned how
David,
frustrating golf can be, but look at the things that you've overcome when you are going through so many things. There's just so many layers that are on your mind and in your brain. What and Cameron, you were just you so eloquently explained that to our group during our training. And my gosh, I should have had the video going at that point of your background and how you've used golf, to break through so many barriers.
yeah, I wish I remember what I said.
We just need to go get another big jug of Joe from Dunkin' Donuts, and you could do it all over again.
Yeah, that was funny. I got the call the night before, the text message, "Can you come through on donuts?" Yes, I can. You know what I mean? So I got called in and I was able to take care of it. Yeah. I think something that we did discuss, and maybe I said, is that a lot of times, and we've talked about it on the show before, but a lot of times we've already come up with a personal opinion of ourselves and our value, especially after we've been through something. Maybe your sense of your value goes down.
Yeah.
And you think, I'm not going to try new things. I don't even know how to swing a golf club. And then you run into someone like David, who he doesn't see you as broken, injured, incapable. There's no excuse. You know what I mean? It's like, we can make this work regardless of what's going on. And you almost question these people. It's almost like when I first came down to Georgia and people were holding the door for me at gas stations. I was so tainted. I was like, what do you want? And now I hold the door for people. And what David does is he actually is there, he's present, and he's helping you. And it's been a long time since these individuals sometimes feel like they've really had someone in their corner, even just for a moment, just to believe that, they can do something when they don't believe they can do it. David came up with a thing, and it's branded, so no one out there try to do anything with it. But it's an instrument that's used. It's a board, and it allows an individual who's first trying to even find the ball with the club to have more accuracy, because if you hit a little before it or maybe a little behind it, and then you put a tennis ball in there, you're going to make contact. And then you start getting a sense of, the club coming through and that contact. And if you're hitting the board a little behind the ball, then you kind of learn, maybe I need to back up or get some more space. I'm not a pro or anything like that. But for a kid, like, think about a kid trying to hit a golf ball. They just want to hit it. They just want to see it go somewhere. So what does David do? He dresses himself up in a Velcro suit and lets kids shoot tennis balls at him to stick to him. Do you know how exciting that is to a kid to get to shoot tennis balls at an adult? That's so fun. It's such a great way to get people into it. But just like, the sense of achieving something and walking away being like, I did that today. That was awesome. And then,
Hope you wear a cup.
and David's the kind of guy. Yeah, exactly.
Former
And
hockey.
David's literally the kind of guy who will go out and play golf with somebody. I've seen this. I've seen him play golf with a veteran. He was letting the veteran use his clubs. And at the end of the round, he gave the veteran his whole set of clubs. I was
Wow.
like, huh, what is happening? Like, and it felt like God put David right in my life. And I was
Don't
just
let
like,
that get around too much.
I was like,
Yeah.
well, it was just a moment. And it was just so, like, if you let yourself say it, it was beautiful. You know what I mean? It was just,
I
welcome.
just bought myself a new set. I met you a year too late.
They're out there. And another thing David does is he collects clubs that can then be used for adaptive golf. So if there's clubs that can be donated, they can be cut down, they can be sized to individuals to
Yeah.
customize it for their desires and needs. So
I think I got
very,
like 4 extra sets down in the basement right now from many years that I've just collected and never done anything with. Maybe I'll get them to you sometime.
Hey, and that's
Yeah, I'm sure.
repurposing of the clubs. A lot of times they only need a regrip. Ask for we call
Yeah.
it a sets for vets, or just a general adaptive golf set. Program giving, and we give tax receipts and whatnot. But a lot of times, I mean, just like humans, right? You're re-identifying. You're finding a new purpose. One dream didn't work out. You're finding another one, and you're going to chase after that one. And
Yeah.
these clubs, right? They mean something. And so if we can fix them up and make a difference in someone else's lives within the last 10, 12 years of technology, any of those clubs of folks that are upgrading, those are ideal, right? With the graphite shafts or lighter flex, we know it's movement over muscle in this golf swing. And yeah, no, it's been great to live
Yeah.
vicariously.
My old sets of Ping Zing 2. You get you those Ping Zing 2s. They're still gripped real nice and everything. 'Cause I only played them like once or twice a year for 18 or 20 years.
You should just take them to one of your events,
Yeah.
Dennis. I bet they could grab them there and repurpose them.
Ping does an extraordinary job for the most adaptations needed in a golf club ever. The
Yeah.
folks, R&D, and we work closely with them. And we have folks without arms, right? They might have just like nubs from their shoulders, and they make a special pad, a little brace that goes under their armpit, where they're able, in an extra long club, and they're able to swing their entire body. And with the shaft flex and that range of motion, they're able to hit that ball out there as good as anybody. And it's just
Wow.
tremendous work.
Yeah, I saw it. It's basically like the length of a fishing pole. Like it is a
Okay.
long club, but it's a
That's right.
brand new Ping G. Like it is ready to rock. And it's got this, like he said, it's like the grip is almost like a DeChambeau grip, a really long kind of fat, like baseball, almost like boom. And we saw videos of it. It's very impressive, these guys. The other thing we saw was I got to see a video or a photo of a Marine who what was he a veteran from, David? Where did he serve? Was it Korea or was it
Oh, that was our good friend Larry Solano, Seated Golfers Association, and yeah, he was injured in '89 in Panama.
Okay.
in Panama? And this gentleman, I was watching him in his chair, which is we can talk about it. It's like it's a wheelchair that makes basically even sand traps accessible. So this gentleman was
Okay.
hitting out of the sand better than me or most people I know out of the sand from a wheelchair and plopping it right next to the green. It was just such a cool thing. And it turns out since then, I guess chairs have really kind of been developed, and there's all kinds of like mono chairs and all that kind of stuff. David, I know you have them at the Bobby Jones Center
The
here.
Solar Rider was the
Yeah.
one that Larry uses, and that's been really the safest one to use for in and out around golf courses. And but there's also a new one called the Verticat, another good machine for those with higher spine injuries. And so it's a little bit, to each, their own and the preference and what their characteristic is we help match them up to the appropriate cart. And yeah,
Cool.
give them that
Yeah, it's
accessibility
really,
to everything.
yeah. And again, the sense of independence. I'm
Yeah.
not in a wheelchair, but the sense that you could go out there and do it on your own. You know what I mean? A lot of my problem, a lot of the times was like people wanted to help me, but I was more like, get off me. Like I need to do this on my own.
Yeah.
Like my wife would literally leave to go to work. My dad would be there kind of watching me after I came out of the coma and all that kind of stuff. Because technically they wanted a ramp at my house, but we're like, we're not doing a ramp. You know what I mean? He's learning to walk. He'll be fine. The only rule was don't go in the basement while Kate was gone because my dad couldn't help me up the stairs. And for some reason, that made me really want to go in the basement. And when I couldn't get up the stairs, I was like, oh no, I'm going to be found out. So I had to crawl up the stairs. But then that got, that got me stronger and all that kind of stuff. But, anyways, that was a little side note. So, David, what keeps you going in golf and adaptive golf? Because it appears to be growing so fast. There's tournaments now where, it appears to be larger purses every time it happens. Like, what is it that keeps you focused on adaptive golf, kind of like on a daily or a weekly basis? I know an overall goal would be to get the game to everybody, but what kind of inspires you, if you will, on a weekly basis?
I tell you, it is just, it takes a lot of energy, right? To do these
Hmm.
things, right? There's that one quote, if it It's if it's dressed in overalls, it's probably going to take some work, and go after it. And well, it's energizing to me, and just so contagious to be able to empower others with the knowledge that I've been, able to attain, and the experiences that we acquire. We're setting up new clinics, new programs. We're training new coaches, but all in all, we're doing that because those participants out there, those that are overcoming so many things, physically, cognitive, sensory. I mean, we have someone in a wheelchair who swings with one arm and they're visually impaired. They're blind, and they have to only come out in certain parts of the day for them to be able to see without the shadows and whatnot. And they're out
Right.
there and they want to get out there and hit balls. And then some days, though, there just might be an issue maybe with part of the range or maintenance or golf, something with a golf course. And you know what? He's looking for, plan B. Hey, let's adapt. Is there another indoor bay that I could go and use? And someone like that just, and we know how important that is for somebody. That is now, their routine for recovery. And just to see how many great things come together, and the spirit overall, just to see first that sometimes someone will be there and they're very reserved, like you had mentioned. It's like, hey, what do they want from me, or what, and it can be very intimidating of what to expect. And I think when people come to our programs, and I like to say that they come to any programs that we've had our hand in helping, we just feel like they have a great welcoming mat, and they just have the respect for everybody, no matter what level they're at. If they're coming in a chair, whatever their state of mind is, and just get to know them, and introduce them to another support group. And they may see somebody to be like, wow, they're going through that. What do I have to complain about? It helps put some
Yeah.
things in perspective in both directions. And so many folks have come in to just rebuild themselves, and hey, just we're going to use golf. I'm going to get back out there. The whole, the United States, health and wellness, departments have stated all the right reasons for exercise and well-being. And then the most gratifying, and I could go down a whole list of folks, as folks come in and then they feel empowered, they become more confident, more comfortable around others, and now they can't wait to pay it forward. And so they found new purpose, giving back and becoming a trained coach, and saying, hey, let us help you with your kids' adaptive golf. Let us help you with the fellow Parkinson's group. The traumatic brain injury group just went out to play golf today, a 9-hole best ball scramble right here in Atlanta. That's where I was just coming from before
That's amazing.
we connected. And so just so many good things are happening. And that's what keeps me going. And the emails, they come in too. And that can
Yeah.
kind of keep me going longer than I want to at night. But it's all good stuff. And just to know that I have other people that are helping, and that team is building. It's all about the team. And like you said, it's growing. We have now 13 other state golf associations that have seen and have been able to acquire the things from our team in Atlanta, from our GSGA. And now there's more adaptive golf tournaments you had mentioned, and you even mentioned the purses to such. Yes, an
Mhm.
amateur golfer that with adaptive characteristic, and there's 8 overall impairment categories, such as your seated golfer, then you have your amputee golfer, then you have a multiple limb loss, right? So someone might be missing leg
Mhm.
and arm. Then you have neurological, where folks with cerebral palsy or with stroke survivors, they've had their swing sort of their range of motion impeded,
Yeah.
with their characteristic. Anyway, there's those characteristics, and they can play for purses, and they're able to earn up to $1,000 and not interfere with their amateur status under the USGA rules.
Okay.
It just continues to go. Now states are what they pride themselves on, amateur golf championships, and they're hosting these events, and they're really
Well,
hanging a carrot for folks to get out and be a part of their next chapter in life. It's amazing. It's a wonderful journey to be a part of.
and I'm gonna
That'd
say
be
this.
rewarding to see that
Yeah,
firsthand on a daily
you're
basis.
right in the middle of it, and I think it's sometimes when you're right in the middle of it, it's hard to see how much you're doing. So, David, you inspire people all the time, and what you do is amazing and it trickles down. So thank you. It
Well,
goes to a lot of people. You're planting a lot of seeds that whose shade you will never enjoy, but you just keep planting them. And it's so amazing. I'm so honored to have gotten to meet you and gotten to work with you. I see nothing but good things in the future. For a little bit, we were going to put together a little thing at Town Lake here in Georgia. We were going to start having kind of range sessions and having, first responders or veterans, whether they're active or former, coming out and just hitting on the range just to kind of get some swings in and that sort of stuff. But then COVID sort of happened. I went and tried an adult job somewhere, but I had to come back to golf. I had to come back to helping individuals, and yeah, golf is definitely healing. It's so backwards, but it's healing. And now, if you go in my backyard, it's basically set up as like a chipping range. When I see like my backyard, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna mow it just right. I'm gonna put a flag over here and all this kinds of stuff. So you kind of get like, I guess you'll say, addicted to it. And as soon as you're turned on to it like that, as soon as it gives you that bit of accomplishment, you'll see it. And I know David sees it all the time. They become like this walking microphone for how amazing it can be. They're
Free
just on.
advertisement.
Yeah, they're like on fire for it. And you're like, yeah, I know. I've been telling you golf's amazing. But really, when it clicks, they're like, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I want to say that sometimes, sure.
Yeah.
But no, it's just great to see the transformation, right? For those who served our country, those who have served our community for many years. You guys are, just advocates for society, and to have golf be a part of it, and to see how it spreads. That's why I'm so honored to be.
Well, my goal has always been to, now with this new startup going on, my new fame, my new life, my new thing, I'm going to make the senior tour. That's my goal.
There you
Yeah.
go.
But you got to speak it into existence. So
Exactly. I'm speaking into existence. It's
you got to
unlikely. But
believe it.
that's the first thing I said when I walked to the very first PGA Hope meeting at Scott Air Force Base last year, right around this time probably. And I was like, yeah, what are you here for? To improve your drive, your long irons, your short game? What are you here for? I'm here to make the senior tour. And they all chuckled a little bit. I was like, hey, you got to start somewhere.
Perfect. So again, David, if people wanted to find more information about adaptive golf, like if I was just like, okay, well, I now know what adaptive golf is. How do I find out if
Yeah.
it's in my area? What would you do?
Well, Google, right, is our friend when it comes to
Yeah.
this, but sometimes you're going to find so much. But here, for anyone in Georgia, Google Adaptive Golf Georgia, and it comes right to our GSGA program and listing all of our complimentary programs, focus groups, things like that. Overall, you can go to USAGA, and that's United States Adaptive Golf Alliance. And again, that'll show up too if you go Adaptive Golf USA, and that will give you a listing of not only clinics, all 55 of our organizations across the US, so someone can find those, and then also the competition. So there's a full calendar that states different clinics and competitions. So there's a little process for those that may have a different characteristic. If someone, wants to just, apply for a player pass, there's information how to do that in order to get vetted and, seek a, medical assessor that'll do that. So then they will, be qualified to play.
Perfect. 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 Well, again, thank you so much. Dennis, do you have any last words of wisdom to send these people off for the rest of their week?
But I don't have anything golf related really. Something usually comes to mind, doesn't it? Like the BC one. What's the BC joke? I remember the BC comic in the newspaper.
Oh, yeah.
The caveman.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was
Well,
thinking.
one of them's name is Thor. One of them's BC. Whatever their names are, I forget. He goes, "Tell me more about golf. What is the secrets to golf?" Where you tell me, and he said, "Well, golf is you're trying to hit this little ball into the hole, right? And most holes are a par four, but some are par threes and par fives. That's the average amount of strokes it should take you to get the ball in the hole. Okay, but if you hit it under that par, it's a birdie. If you hit two under the par, it's a double. It's an eagle or a double. Double birdie, eagle, all that stuff. And then when it's over par, it's a bogey and a double bogey." He goes, "Well, what's 10 over par? A reason to quit." I disagree.
Man,
Go playing.
Keep going.
Keep
Take
playing.
the double
It's
and move on. That's how it goes.
that's right.
exactly. All right,
No
guys,
more than a
thank you.
snowman, right?
Exactly. Yeah, just take the snowman, move on. Guys, thank you so much. This was amazing. I hope that everyone out there had a great time listening, and we'll see you next time.
Absolutely. Hey, Dave, nice to meet you. Keep doing what you're doing. Maybe I'll come down and see you sometime and bring you some clubs or something.
Let's talk about
But
that.
very, very good job. Keep doing it, man. I appreciate it.
Guys, remember, if you got anything out of today's episode, please like, share, comment, subscribe, all of it. That way we can get it to more people. Love you guys. Bye.